So let's start. So we are about to start in the abstract keyword, right? So what is the abstract keyword and where we can use it? Okay, so okay, so we can use class level. It could be levels. Level could be class, then methods, and then variables, right? These are the things that we can judge. We have constructors as well, but not going to write that. So what does it mean by abstract? If we just do the simple Google search of abstract, then you will find exist only as an idea, not as a physical thing. Okay, so abstract is something that exists as an idea but not as a physical thing, right? So if I'll say my variable is abstract or my method is abstract or my class is abstract, now it will mean that I have the concrete, I have idea, but I don't know how to implement it. All right, so is it allowed? We'll check allowed. Is it allowed it, right? I want to write a method, but I don't know a class, but I don't know its complete implementation. So I can declare it abstract, so it is allowed. Let's see. Yes, can I declare my method abstract? Yes, I know that I need to use a method, but I don't know how to provide the implementation. Then I can declare it as well. Then comes, then can I make a variable abstract? So we can directly just check int age, right? What do you think? Should I can this method and class I have already provided the answer, right? That we can make the class and methods abstract. What do you think? Can we make the variables abstract? I don't know the complete implementation of the class. That's why I'm saying that okay, I want to make this class abstract because I don't know its complete implementation. It is in the ideological form in my mind right now, but I don't want to code it. Same goes with methods, right? I know that I need to make a method of deliver. I might be creating a Swiggy and I want to make a method deliver, but I don't know how the deliver method work, right? Or how the payment method will work. Do payment method will work. Maybe I have to integrate with the payment gateway, or I will redirect my user to the third party application for the payments. So at present I don't know the answers, so I can make my method abstract because I don't know its concrete implementation. I don't have right now. But what about the variables? See, abstract with the variable is not allowed. The reason is when you use a variable, then you are, I mean, whenever I need to create a variable, I need to have everything right regarding that thing, because variable comes with a properly defined. Okay, do not required. Okay, so where were we? Okay, so with a variable, if I'm choosing the integer, right? How can it be abstract, right? Do I need to implement the internal working of integer? No, right? Do I need to know change the size? Is I'm unsure about what's the size of the variable is I require? No, right? Because integer will have the 4 byte, right? So it does not make sense to use the abstract with the variables, because variable is already defined thing, right? You need to save something. I'm audible?
Yes.
So when we have this answer, so what do you think in constructor and instance or static blocks is, do we, I mean, can we use the abstract keyword or not? Okay, why, what's the use case of constructor? Why do we use constructor?
To access the variables dynamically.
To initialize the instance variable dynamically, right?
Yes.
So if my variable cannot be abstract, so how can I make a constructor abstract? which whose responsibility is to initialize the variable, right? So does it make sense? If I'm sure that I want to initialize, I want to use something whose responsibility is to initialize something. So if I want to initialize something, then I need to have those values, right? How can I be unsure? Okay, is it not making sense? Are you confused regarding this? Anyone? Hello?
Yes, yes. A little confused.
See, the variables cannot be abstract, right? You need to be sure regarding the use case of a variable. If you say public int age, then integer, eventually if you
Hmm.
create your own class also, then too
Hmm.
you will write the, if you create a student as well, right? Instead of this, if you create a student, right? And you put inside the nodes class, you put private student, right? And
Hmm.
student, right? Even though you are creating a student object, inside a student eventually you need to use this thing only, right? Private string name and then private int roll number, right?
Yes.
Like in the periodic table, if you want to create anything in the planet earth, you cannot create a new element, you have to use one of those things, right? One of the elements in the periodic table.
Yes.
Similarly in
Got it.
Java, you
Yes.
need to create anything, you have to use the primitive data types eventually, right? You
Yes.
can
Yes.
wrap it around anything, even the string, if it's an object, it's also using the primitive data type, right? The byte, that's still
Yes.
the byte
Yes.
array.
Yes.
So eventually
Got.
for the Java, only there are, if one can say the periodic table, then the periodic table is of only 8 elements, right? In Java. So you cannot use to store anything other than the primitive data types, 8 primitive data types that we have.
Yes.
So, and if it's sure, if I know that okay, to declare a variable, I cannot be abstract with the variable, right?
Yes.
Because if I want to save the name, right, I won't take a string, right? If I want to save the name, I need to know, okay, it's okay. So let's suppose if I am not sure whether for the order ID, should I go for the numeric value or take double or float or integer, or should I go with the string or combination of numeric plus characters? So at this point, I can take two values, right? At this point, I can take two values. One value would be one value could be, if I need to create int order id, I can do this thing also, and I can do this thing also, right? Order id. So if I need to, if I'm confused between those two, I won't use it, right? So why I need to use, I mean, where do I use these variables? Where are the variables used?
Inside methods.
Yes, eventually for the business logic, only 5 elements are there, right, in Java class. One is variable itself, other one is method, which will use for the business logic, and all the rest, only three things are left, right? Constructors, instance block, and static block. These are just to initialize the variables. So inside the methods, I need to use it, right? And if I can make a method abstract, we will see what does it, I mean, we don't need to provide the body of the abstract method, we will see the implementation, we don't need to provide, right? So if we don't need to provide the implementation, then why I need the variables, right? First thing, that why abstract variables does not require. And if you try to declare the abstract variable, we declare a variable to hold the space in the RAM, right? Which will be in the heap space logical. If I try to write it as an instance variable, so what will eventually happen, if I don't know the type of the variable I need to use, how can I take memory for it? It won't make sense, right?
Yes. Yes.
And it's not even required. If your method, you will going eventually going to use the method variable inside the method, right? And if it's not mandatory for you to provide the body of a method, then why you want to declare the variables, right? You can think in both the ways, right? And also, if the variable cannot be abstract, then the things that you are going to use to set the values, how can they be abstract, right? Abstract means only existing only as an idea, not as a physical thing, right? But if I have a constructor, I need to provide values to that constructor, right? because the variables cannot be abstract. We have just seen it needs to be concrete, and that can only be the primitive data types. Whatever we are seeing other than that, it's just a combination of primitive data types somewhere down the line, right? If you go inside the classes, we'll eventually see those 8 primitive data types only. Any doubts? No, it's still okay. Okay, let's do one thing. Let's start seeing the code. I mean, moving ahead. Then eventually you will get the thing. All right, give me 1 minute.
Yes.
All right, thank you. Okay, cool. So see, what's the first thing? Uh, so if my class, it's allowed, right, to create a class abstract, right? So if I create a class abstract, so should it be allowed to create an object of the abstract class? If my if okay, if my class only exists as an idea and not as a physical thing, then okay, let me show you an abstract class first, right? So okay, basics, and let's say I want to create a Swiggy, alright? So I can create the Swiggy. Okay, instead of Swiggy, let's try to create the payment system of Swiggy, right? So let's Swiggy payment. Usually we don't write the company name with the payment, I mean the class, but right now I'm just trying to write it. So it would be Swiggy payment, right? But the thing is, right now the payment needs to have something, right? We can take the void and we can take the boolean as well. Right now we can, cause in the microservice architecture, I can just return void and do payment. Alright, this thing I can, and I can just log out the successful or unsuccessful, right? Payment successful. Okay, so we can write the checks or something. But if I don't know how to implement this thing, right? I'm not sure right now at present moment. I'm not sure. I just started thinking right now. For suppose that in 2024, 5th of November, I started an idea. I had an idea and I want to start a firm today. So I cannot write code, right, entirely on my own. Even I need to hire a team, and then we need to have a discussions a lot. And then, but the thing is, if I'm writing a code, I need to make sure that the folder structure, the package structures are created in such a way that I will be aware that this thing needs to be implemented, right? Right. For example, I can just comment it out here, print here that method not implemented completely, right? Completely. What's wrong with this thing is, if I don't know, and let's suppose there is something else, there is an order service. There is an order service, right? And order service also have a method, and the method says place order. Okay, place order, and I'm not taking anything right now. So order placed successfully. Cool. Over here, what we can do, we can call the Swiggy payment object Swiggy payment. Okay, let's wait for a while. Let's use our runner, and inside our runner, let's create a order service object. Okay, and okay, my bad. And in order service, I will say that please place order, right? If I run this code, what will happen eventually? Order will place successfully, right? But the thing is, I need payment as well, right? Because otherwise, how can I provide the order without the payment? So I can do the Swiggy payment equals to new Swiggy payment over here, and payment equals to do payment. All right. So if I run this code, this thing will be printed, right? That method not implemented, but my order will be placed successfully, right? Am I audible?
Yeah.
Yes.
So is this correct thing? There might be a chance that no one will allow. I mean, no one will want. No one is going to check that whether the do payment implementation is there or not, right? And it usually we cannot even verify. We need to communicate with a different team, right? Because someone will give their API, I mean, give their jars to call the method, and based on that method, the API call will execute, right? And even if the code base is same and some person does not want to go inside this thing and check in, over here our do payment simply just shouts that okay, I'm not complete, right? But there might be a chance that it in this, I mean, 20-30 line is there, right? So someone might come and check 20 lines and he ignores the last line, whether where it says printing that it's not complete, or he just ignores the comment method not completed. So what will happen, he eventually use it, right? And somehow somewhere down the road, if this code goes live, then every order will be placed for free, right? Do you want this thing in the production environment? Especially when we are a startup, we don't have money, or we are looking for seed money and all those things. We don't want it, right? So the Swiggy payment object, we don't require this thing, right? So payment object, and if I somewhere down the road, if I can make sure that no one should be able to create a object of this class, then is it possible for me? If I can, I mean, how I'm using it, I'm in the auto service, I'm just creating an object or just instance variable, right? So reference variable is required to call the method. So if I can make sure somewhere down the road that object creation is not possible, all right, then this line will going to throw an error, right? And that's what the abstract keyword do. Now if I try to run this code again, cannot instantiate it. Swiggy payment is abstract and it cannot be instantiated, right? So one interview question comes in this way only. Like for example, there is one thing that we have already covered for the final keyword, that how can I make sure that no one can inherit my class, right? Or how can I prevent the inheritance? The answer is final keyword, right? Right? We
Yeah.
covered this
Yes,
in,
yes.
in previous sessions. So with using the final keyword, we can make sure that no one will be able to declare our class as the parent class. That's what's happened with all the wrapper classes over here. Final, right? So now what do you want? So now the thing is, if there is another requirement, and this is another interview question as well, how can I make sure that no one can create an object of my class? Other thing can be, how can I make sure that my class cannot be instantiated? The answer would be by the use of abstract keyword. Abstract class cannot be instantiated. Why? The reason is because we have declared already that our idea exists, right? It's not a physical thing. I mean, like I don't have the complete implementation. What does it mean by the physical in context of the computer science? That would be if you have provided some memory, right? Because physical would be mostly considered to the memory in the entire computer science, right? Am I
Yes.
audible? Okay, cool, great. So, so this would be the one interview question, right? I'm not going to write it inside this interview questions again. So we can even delete it because this was the most. Okay, no, there are other interview questions as well. Cool, no worries. So this question I'm not going to repeat it in this over here, because this thing, I mean, this is very commonly asked, right? You cannot create an object of abstract class. So the answer would be abstract keyword, right? We can use abstract keyword at the class level to make sure that class cannot be instantiated. Cool, one thing. Let's move forward. Now comes the interview question, right? Now we cannot create this, right? So now the thing is, now there will be a compile time error if I try to do this thing, right? So I cannot do this. So eventually somehow down the road I need to comment it out. So without payment we are placing the order, right? So the people in the order service, the teams are segregated in the production environment, right? So the order service, order team, they won't send their code live, right, for this thing, because the payment code will throw an error. They will fight internally, but the code will never go live. So that's the thing that we want. You can fight, but no loss for the company, especially in the initial phases. All right, moving ahead. Now let's directly move. Okay, let's have one more thing. Then we'll move to the interview questions. We have seen the abstract keyword use case, right, with at the class level, right? What about the method level? Like for example, is it? I mean, yeah, it's great that we have created our class abstract, but can I make my method abstract as well, right? Because we have over here mentioned that I can use the abstract with the method level as well, right? So what does it mean to use the okay, the abstract keyword at the method level? All right, let's just okay, let me just move it inside the okay, my bad. Let's just wait, and then method level. Okay, now I can move it. All right, over here let's take a class A, or let's take a class payment. Okay, we can take the class A as well. All right, so there's a class A with me, and I have a method m1, right? Let's suppose okay, my bad, m1. So this is how the thing goes, right? A class m1 method, right? This is how we were writing our code earlier, right? And in PSVM we'll just create a my bad new A any.m1, and if we try to run this class, then this will print, right? But what if I don't have the body of it, right? What's the body? This part is the body, right? This is the body, right? Because implementation is inside here. So I need to clear, I mean, an abstract means that it's in idea, right? Not in the concrete form. So if I provide the body, then it's in the concrete form, right? Because if method class is object of the class is created, then I can use the method, right? So it's simple that it should not have the body, right? When I want to declare a class abstract, it should not have a body, right? So let's remove this. But we need to know how it sends, right? So when we end something in Java, we use a delimiter, right? Semicolon, right? But the thing is, I need to make it abstract as well. Cool. It's still giving an error, right? What error? What's the error? It could be. Any idea or guess? I mean, I just want to ask you one thing. If my class, right? If my class has methods that is abstract, right? For example, over here, if the payment Swiggy pay, okay, let me ask from this, then I'll move to the left side. So if I don't have the body of method m1, right? And then if I allow the creation of object A, right? If I allow the creation of object A, and then what will happen if I try to call the m1 method? Because inside the m1 method there is no body, right? There is no body. What will I execute? Will it be empty?
Yeah.
Okay.
Check with the class setting.
Okay, the thing is, this is the do payment, right? Let's say this is a class, right? And I just remove the body. Cool. And you are saying that it should be allowed, right? Let me add the abstract over here. And you are saying that it should be allowed and the empty implementation should be there, right? So this thing, if I uncomment this, then what will happen? Then the same issue will arise, right? Earlier, at least, I was printing something in the logs, right? That the payment, the code is not completed, written completely, right? Now, if we go by the logic that you people has provided, that we can just execute the empty implementation, right? Then what will happen? Again, order will be placed, that too without payment, right? Because if we go with your logic, then the do payment will execute nothing, right? It will be equivalent to, if I remove this thing and this thing, right? It will be equivalent to this, right? Nothing in the body, right? So if I have to execute like this only, then why should I go and why the people of Java create another keyword abstract? It can be done without this also, right? It can be done by this also. I just remove this, then the same thing will happen, right? Am I audible?
Yes.
So think if the solution is not being solved, I mean, the same thing I can achieve by this also. So those people are not going to write anything. So the thing is, if a method is abstract, right, so that means my class is not completely full, right, completely implemented. That this means this only, right? If I have any methods which is abstract, that means I know that I need to implement something, but I don't know how and haven't completed it, right? So if my class is not complete, should I allow to create an object of it?
No, no.
Okay, so Java also don't allow. Let me just revert this first. Okay, input abstract here, and let's come over here. And if I try to run, okay, from runner, so payment is abstract. Okay, wait a minute. Let me comment this out and then run the code again. Now you will see another error. A is not abstract, right? And does not override abstract method. So okay, it's saying this much only, right? So okay, cool, no worries. The thing is, if my class is having an abstract method, that means my class is not completed, right? So that means that my class is still not completed, right? I have an idea that I need to implement the payment, but I haven't created a code for it, right? So it's not completed. If a method is not completed of a class, how can a class can be completed, right? How can a class can be concrete? There are two terminologies that we use. One is abstract and one is concrete. Concrete will be opposite of the abstract. Abstract exists as an idea, whereas concrete exists completely, right? So this method M1 is abstract method, while void M2 method is a concrete method. Cool. This is the terminology that we use. So if a method in my class is concrete, is abstract, so that means my class is not completed, right? And how can I create an object of a half completed class, right? That does not sounds good, right? Because methods are the only class element that is used for the business logic, right? So that means my business logic is not complete. And if my business logic is not complete, how can I allow its object to get created, right? Am I audible? And is it clear?
Yes, yes.
So now there is another thing. If any method in my class is abstract, that means my class is not complete, right? It's still not concrete. It's still the some portion of it is still exists as an idea and not concretely. So I need to make sure that my class is also abstract. Now there is no error, right? And if my class is abstract, we have already covered in the previous part, I cannot create an object of it, right? Cannot be instantiated, right? Cool. Clear till now? Till here clear? I'm audible?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay. Let me write this thing, abstract method and public void. Okay. We'll cover that in the interview question part. Alright. So this was with the abstract keyword, right? Now there are a lot of, not a lot, but interview questions are there. Basically, abstract keyword and the interfaces are majorly used in the designing part, low level designing. So if you try to search the Gang of 4 design patterns or GOF design patterns, you will see at most of the times you will find interfaces written over there, abstract class or written. So over there, that's why we use this. Okay, and let's start the interview questions. And the first would be okay, the packages I need to create for this. Okay, so one would be okay, abstract class with no abstract method. Alright, now another one would be in instead of doing can I, okay, no, it's better to write packages only abstract class with all concrete methods, and then okay, my bad, package abstract class with all abstract methods. Okay, so let's start with the very first item, this thing. Okay, where is it? Okay, cool, here. So I'm writing a class A, right? So I want to write abstract method, right? And void element. Cool, this thing. Okay. I'll remove this and I'll just create this abstract over here, and then I'll try to create a runner. Okay, instead of using runner as well, should it be allowed to create a class, abstract class, without any method?
Yes, we can. We can create.
Okay, can we create a class without any? Can we create a normal class without any concrete methods? Okay, it's simply this, right? We can create it, right? So
Yes,
if I
yes.
add the abstract keyword over here, I'm just making sure that no one will be able to create an object of it. That's it, right? It is allowed. No need to create a runner because abstract don't allow to initialize the object, right? The another thing will be, if I create my class A and if I create all the concrete classes, should it be allowed or not?
Yeah, allowed, allowed.
Yes, it should be allowed, because and it's not limited, right? I can have any number of concrete methods. So now why I have used this, just to make sure no one is able to create the object of it, right? And this thing will be the same again, abstract class, right? So we have already covered, if I have, see, with these two things I'm not forced to write the abstract keyword, right? If I remove also, then too it will work, right? By using abstract over here, I just make sure that no one will be able to create the object, right? But compiler is not forcing me, right? But now in this case where all the methods are abstract, right? Public abstract voidable. Now is there any way that I can make sure that class is not abstract and have abstract methods? This cannot be the case, right? Because if a class is having methods which is not complete, then the class is not complete and we need to create the abstract over here, right? This thing we have just covered in the method level thing. So this thing is like, if my class has all the abstract method, then too it's allowed to create a abstract class, right? So
Yes.
abstract keyword at the class level does not depend on the whether we have the abstract method or not, right? But if we have the abstract method, then we are forced to create the abstract class, right? This thing this thing needs to be very clear. All right, now the other thing. Okay, in okay, package inheritance. All right, so if my class A, okay, if my class A is there, right, and then I'm declaring it, okay, I'm not declaring it abstract first, so but I have public void m1 method, right? Abscess out and a hyphen m1, cool. Then another one, public void, okay, my bad, public abstract void m2, cool. Now cause there is an abstract method, that means the class is not complete. If the class is not complete, we should not allow to create object of it, so I need to put abstract keyword here, right? Now everything is fine. But now the thing is, if I create a class B, okay, and if I create the class B, and let me just comment it out, and I extends A, right? If I do this and then I create runner, and then I try to do A equals to, my bad, then I try to do B equals to new B, okay, and on B dot, alright, I haven't used the extends keyword over here, so it will be B extends A, so M1, right, because M1 method is there, okay. So if I comment out this thing, I mean remove the line number 3 and comment out line number 4 and then try to run the runner, what will happen? Do you want to see the code again? A class has two methods. One is concrete method M1, right? Another one is abstract method, right? No need to write abstract because it's already shouting that it's abstract. So now there is B class. If my B class extends the class A, and then I will try to create an object of B class and then try to call the M1 method, what will happen? If I remove this thing, I will then uncomment this line and then try to execute the code, what will happen? Hello, I'm audible?
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, let's go line by line, right? The thing is, eventually, not every answers can be covered in every permutation combination. I cannot cover in the course, right? Because we have already covering a lot of questions, but yet in few of the questions you need to run your basic understanding, right? Basic concept that we have covered already. See, we know about the inheritance, right? What happens with the inheritance? I get the access entire properties and behaviors. Properties would be the variables and behaviors would be the methods. So all the variables and methods of the parent class will become of the child class, right? If I just do this thing, then that means that this thing will come in child class as well, right? That's the inheritance, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if this will happen, then what do you think? Now should I be forced to create my B class also as abstract or not? Because it will have a abstract
Yeah, yeah.
method, right?
Yes.
So now, but I will be given an option. I can but there is a concept of override as well, right? So if B class action class A, now it has a choice, right? Right now there is an error, right? And you can see that the B must declare the abstract class. Why? Because now it has an abstract method over here, right? From the parent. So what it's saying, okay, my bad. What it's saying that B class I should declare as abstract because it has a abstract method. So that means the class B is not complete because A is not complete and I have inherited the A. Or I can make the class complete by implementing the abstract method M2. What will happen? If I provide the implementation or the body of this class, if I remove the abstract, then what will happen? The child method will be called, right? If I provide the implementation of M2, BM2, then the child method will be called, right? Now I have the concrete method of M2, right? And I have overridden it. Override, make sure that this exact same method is in the parent class as well. Alright. Any confusion over here? See, I have two choices. If I don't do this, I mean if I don't implement the method, then the parent class method will be here, right? And that's why I need to make sure that the class is abstract. So I can write this class also as abstract, right? Another thing would be if I don't want this class to be abstract, then there should be no abstract method in this class, right? Then only the class can be concrete, right? If it has all the concrete methods, then only the class can be concrete. So to do this, I need to override the method. And which method I need to override? M2 is mandatory because M2 is abstract. Any doubts? Hello, am I audible?
Yes, yes. Got it.
Okay, so no doubts till here.
I mean, in order to not make class be abstract, you're overriding it, right? And you're overriding a non-abstract method again.
Yes.
Okay, okay, yeah, got
if
it.
if a class needs to be concrete, I mean this is, I mean without abstract class it's called concrete class. So if the class needs to be concrete, then it should have all the
Concrete
concrete
methods.
methods, right? No methods also cool, but there should be no abstract method. And if I
Yeah,
don't override this, then there will be an abstract method, right, from the parent.
yeah, yeah.
It's like the loan, right? If you're taking all the things from your parent, you get a loan as well. So so before doing anything, you need to make sure that your loan is paid. So that's what we do, and this is the most important item as well. Now the parent is forcing, right? Now the parent is forcing you to implement something, right? This is what's happening, right, over here.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, as a fresher you don't need to know it, but these things, right, constructor, the use case of constructor and the use case of the overriding is different for the senior developers or the tech leads, because they use it as the restrictions. I will show you if, okay, I will show you if we get the time. I will show you also. It's a part of design pattern. Not going to dive deep into that, but I will show you as well in the later while. All right. I need just give me 2 minutes. Okay, where were we? All right, cool. So the way that we use this thing is, we are forcing, if you want to use my created class as in parent, then you must implement some of the methods that I mentioned. Otherwise, you won't be able to create an object of it. So that's what abstract keyword is used for. And being a fresher, you will never get a chance to write abstract interface or abstract in your environment, because usually it's a part of low level designing. So implement method B. So that's how it works, right? One way is, if I implement it, right, I am overriding the abstract method, right? This is when I need to make sure that I have a concrete method, right? Concrete class if I want. There is another way as well. See, if I don't want my, if I don't want to abstract, if I don't want my class to be uh, concrete, then I can directly just write abstract over here, right? So there are two ways. Creating forced to be, over here the better thing would be forced to be a abstract class after inheritance, right? Cool. So if a parent class is the abstract class, then your child class, and it has the abstract method as well, right? It has the abstract method as well. Then you have the choice. If you want your child class to be concrete, then you need to provide the implementation of the abstract methods. Otherwise, your class will also be abstract. Cool. And why your class will be abstract? Because your class will have abstract method inside it, and if your class has abstract method, that means your class is not complete, and incomplete class instantiation is not allowed in Java. So you are forced to make your class abstract. Clear till here?
Yes.
All right. So let's move to the interface. All right. With the interfaces, the very first thing with the interface is, till now we were using the abstract keyword, right, with the class, right? So we were creating the class, but abstract class, right? So it was a class. But now with the interfaces, what usually happens, instead of class, I will choose the interface. and and you can make the difference also. For interfaces, we choose I. You will usually see, instead of normal A, I will use the IA. Alright. So this is the class, right? So if I replace the class keyword with the interface, now it becomes the interface. Now interface has some of the interface keywords come with a lot of drawbacks or benefit, you can decide with your own things. Why we require interface, we have already covered, right? Because multiple inheritance is not allowed in Java or in any language where you are not going to find the multiple inheritance. You will find interface or something equivalent to the interface which will work as an interface, right? So mostly other language also choose the same keyword, interface only. Like in PHP also we have interface, right? Seema, you work in PHP, right?
Yes.
We have interfaces in PHP, right?
Yes.
And PHP don't allow multiple inheritance, right?
Correct.
All right, thank you. So similarly, if you find any other language as well, if two conditions met, they have interfaces, then you can directly say, okay, they have interface, that means they don't allow. If the language is oops also as well, right? Because for if your language is oops, it follows the API and I is inheritance, right? So if your language is oops, that means it's following the inheritance. And if they are following the inheritance and the class and the language has the interface as well, then you can be sure that okay, this language does not support the multiple inheritance, right? You can check it with any other language. Like C allows multiple inheritance, so you will not going to find the interface there. You can check it on your own in the free time. You can do this. And all right, I'm moving forward. Okay, so there are few things that we get with the interface keyword, right? So there are things that happens with the interface. Earlier there used to be questions from what happens with the interface in Java 7 and Java 8, because there were difference in the Java 7 and 8. But right now the industry has moved to Java 17, so the free version is 17, right? No one is even using the 8. So earlier, before this year, before 2023, not 4, before 2023, most of the people were in Java 8 and few of their services were running in Java 7. So that question used to make sense, how interface works with Java 7 and Java 8. But right now it does not make sense, because now no one is using 8, or also everyone is on 17. So I'm not going to cover that part now because it's already obsolete. No one will ask also. So the thing is, and you should not even waste your time on that question as well, because 17 is 17 is free now, so no one is going to take care of what the 17 looks like, right? So right now we are working with the 17, so we don't care, right, how the Java was with 7 and with a second version and the fifth version, right? 1.2 and 1.5. Same work goes with this. All right, so there are few things that happens inside the interface. What happens with the variables, we'll see. Variable, what happened with the variable, what happened with the methods, right? And what happened at the class level, that will cover separately, right? So by default, if you create anything, right, let's say default, if you create anything in interface, by default the variable will be public and static and final. And what happens if this thing, with this thing, if I have public static final with the variable, have you ever seen this combination with a variable before anywhere? Okay, we haven't.
Constant.
Yes, even we have done it, right? Company name constant we have created in our project final. So public static final, see, final keyword make sure that it cannot be modified, the value cannot be modified, right? A static keyword will make sure that it can be accessed from anywhere, right? Static keyword will make sure that it can be accessed by using the class name, right? And the public will make sure that this class can be accessed from any other package, right? So this will make sure that this node class can be accessed from anywhere. This will make sure that the variable can be accessed using the dot operator. This will make sure that the value cannot be changed. So the combination of these three will say that the variable will be accessible from anywhere in the class is in the project, and the value cannot be changed. If it can be accessible from any place and value cannot be changed, then it became a constant, right? So that's why this combination is for creating a constant. Now in interface, if okay, oh, where is IE? Okay, all right. So if over here I declare something as company name, right? String company name, right? And cause it's final variable needs to be initialized, right, directly. So let's say Swiggy. IP is also coming of Swiggy, so Swiggy. So whether I write over here public static or final or not, oh my bad, public. All right, whether I write it or not write it, it's exactly same. Okay, so one thing is by default public is static and final. And let me just